This is the DarkFall Scribing Guide. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a bunch of different items out of your bank, right? I've already kind of collected these. You're going to want to get Papyrus. You're going to want to get any manual pages, also any blank manuals in the books. And then you also want to get any blank scrolls. And then you're going to want to get all your essences, right? You're going to have a bunch of different essences that you're going to collect via different mobs. You're going to want to get all the different spell essences, right? From all the different spell schools. So you're going to have a matching essence, per spell school, right? So you have Necromancy essence, spell chanting essence, lesser essence, greater essence, all of that, right? You're going to have one for each of these. So mobs will drop these, and you're going to want to bring these to the alchemy table, right? So basically, you grab all that stuff out of your bank, and you're going to walk over here to this table, right? It's usually by the Arcanist, but you'll know by checking the different workbenches, and this is going to be the one, right? The alchemy table. So you're going to go ahead and click on Scribing, right? And we're going to walk through each of these and why they're important. So you got blank schematics, which personally this is kind of a new system. I'm not exactly sure what this does yet, but I won't be too worried about it. Now, I think it has something to do with the research system because it talks about schematics here. So I'll go over that a different day, but let's walk through what we got here. So you got your books, right? Now we don't have a book on us, but basically these books will allow you to level up your melee skills, right? So for instance, we have disabling shot, which is for bows. So it's bows and melee skills. So you might want to level up disabling shot. You're going to have to make quite a few of these books, and they are going to have a scribing skill associated with them. So you're going to have to level up and create certain scrolls and books first, right? Before you can get to the other ones. So the main ones we're going to be talking about are the books and these scrolls, all right? So whatever melee weapon you use, you could come in here and let's say you want probably disabling blow. You can level that up. You'll need some blank manuals as well as manual pages. And I'll show you what those look like a little bit later in the video. We're just kind of walking through what we got here that we can learn. You also have deeds. So when you've put together all of these different materials you need for a house deed, then you can come in here and you can craft your deed, and then you can go claim your house, right? So this, I'm not going to cover in detail. It's basically just here. This is kind of the final step to putting all of your deed components together, right? So there's deeds, and we got scribing materials. So here we have a manual, and now we're going to get into papyrus, right? Basically, papyrus is this plant, and I show you here in a clip. All right, so on your Darkfall journeys, you're going to want to be looking for this little plant right here called Papyrus, or like Papyrus. But you're going to be looking for this plant for scribing. You're just going to hop off, interact with it. You'll pick it up, and then you can go ahead and take it back to your bank. This is going to be used for scribing to create scrolls, manuals, books, stuff like that. So anytime you see any papyrus out in the world, go ahead and pick that up. It's going to be super useful for you for leveling spells, skills, and a few other things as well. You want to collect papyrus, and we got the blank manuals, which we can make, and the blank scrolls, which we can make. So these pages are dropped from mobs, so keep that in mind. And so we can make these. We'll go ahead and make some. So we'll probably make, I don't know, for now, 10, right? We're going to make 10 scrolls. We've got one here. I'm going to show you me leveling up a bunch of skills here in a minute as well. A lot more scrolls. But just as an example, we're going to walk through. You've got air magic. So starting out, you're going to want to look, and you'll see that this is just level 1, right? So soon as you go down the list, you're going to hit 25, right? So as you're starting out, you're only going to be able to make Stormblast and up here in the air school. You're only going to be able to level those up. So what you're going to want to do is decide which spells are important, you can go to my spells and binding guides to know what spells to level up. I would recommend leveling up with scribing. Really, you could do anything, but the spells that are a long cooldown and they feel very tedious or difficult to level, right? I'd recommend those first, right? And so because you only have one scribing, let's say, you want to prioritize spells that only cost one scribing that are going to be important, right? So in air magic, it might be Stormblast, right? That might be one you want to level up, long cooldown. And then as you use your scrolls and you get to level 25, now obviously you can start looking at the other spells and leveling those up. Well, you might not want to waste your essences, right? So for each spell school, you're going to need some essences of that spell school, and you're going to need scrolls. And don't forget, you're going to need some gold as well. This adds up a lot. I spent like 20 or 30k gold already leveling up my spells. So you're going to need some gold, you're going to need essences, and you're going to need papyrus for scrolls. You're going to need those three things. Now, you're going to need essences for each individual spell school, like we talked about. And basically, you're going to want to come in here and let's say, I've already spent quite a bit of my essences, but what we can do is a really solid choice in the beginning is let's do lesser, right? And there's definitely some easy ones here we can choose from. Heal self, we can level up our conversions, stuff like that. Now, I'm going to give you a quick example, and then also I'm going to go through and show you which spells that I level from kind of start to finish of scribing, and which spells you should think about leveling. My spells and binding guides will also point out, hey, these are important spells. You can look at the Google Sheet as well and be like, okay, these are the ones that I should think about leveling. And scribing is going to help you with that. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go ahead and look just so we have an idea of how these are leveling up, right? So I want to do heal self, right? It's already 4 or 5 for me. I'm going to create 10 scrolls, right? I made 10 scrolls. Let's craft 10 scrolls, right? I'm going to go ahead and craft those. All right, now we have these scrolls. So they're pretty easy to use. You just double click, right? You just double left click and it's going to use it. Now, I'm going to show system here. Now, you get that little cast bar. So here it says reading this has increased your knowledge of heal self by 0.48. Now this is going to go down as the spell gets higher level, right? So keep that in mind. It's going to take more and more and more scrolls to eventually hit level 5, which is the max for each individual spell. So we're going to go ahead and just use all these, right? We made them. You're not going to see this bar move that much, but you'll see it kind of take these little tiny jumps. And, you know, the lower level your spell is, the more you're going to gain from scribing, right? So in a way, the earlier on, the better, but it's still really good even later. I had a lot of my spells at 3 or even 4, and it still helped me out a lot to catch up those spells that were falling behind, right? And so that's a little bit of an example just from lesser magic. Now, just kind of talking about some of the other scribing stuff here. We also have treasure maps, all right? So you've got 3 categories of treasure maps. You have small, you have just normal, right? They don't really, you could call them medium. And then you've got large treasure maps, right? So they require 3 fragments. And you combine these 3 fragments and also notice 50 scribing, 75 scribing, 100 scribing, right? So there are skill levels you have to hit in scribing to combine these map fragments. Now you're going to get map fragments off of mobs, right? It'll be a little bit of a rare drop, but you'll get some, and then you'll be able to, you know, maybe buy the other fragments you need off the auction house, and then you'll be able to combine them, and then you have a treasure map. Now, I'm not going to go over everything with the treasure maps, but know they're here and they're under scribing, and you need to level your scribing up to combine your map fragments to make your treasure maps. So that's treasure maps, all right? So we've gone over all of this, and I'm gonna walk through now which spells that you should level up, and I'm just gonna kind of show you examples of me leveling up my spells. All right, so you're gonna wanna come in and make a bunch of scrolls, all right? I'm gonna make about 100 scrolls here. And what you're going to want to probably prioritize is your conversions and your heals, right? So that's going to be your 3 conversions, your heal self, and then probably your Witch's Brew as well. Right now, I'm making a few heal selves and some mana to stamina. So after making all those scrolls, my scribing went up to 22, and we're close to being able to make the next level, 25. Scribing scrolls. So I'm just making a bunch of Witch's Brew right now. That's going to be my quickest heal, and I want to use pretty much all of my Witchcraft Essence on Witch's Brew, right? It's one of the few ones in Witchcraft that I want to level up. So I'm going to use all of my essences of Witchcraft on Witch's Brew. That's what I'm doing right now. And if you have any leftover money or scrolls, you might want to use those on conversions and heals, but you might want to save some for the other essences as well. So down in the bottom right in the system messages, as you're using these scrolls after you make them, you'll be able to see the experience you gain down in the bottom right. So maybe it'll be 0.35, and then it'll go down to 0.34. And as you can see here, it's 0.42, 0.41, and it's going. You're getting less and less and less as you make them, right? So keep that in mind. As they skill up, you're going to get less and less skill gains. So keep that in mind while you're choosing which ones to level up. You might want to pick the lowest level ones first, or you might want to wait till they're around level 3 because they're very easy to level early on, but then they become harder later on. So you might want to cast them on mobs first for a while, and maybe the slower leveling spells you might want to scroll up and use your money and your essences and your scrolls on those abilities. So right now I'm mainly just leveling up my conversions, heals, leveling up stamina to health, because I only have a very limited amount of scrolls left at this point. So we're just doing that sort of at the end of our scrolls. Now, this is what we did at the very end of all the scrolls we made, but I just included it in the conversion section here. So I would just use everything. You might as well be more powerful sooner than later. So use your scrolls, use your essences, as long as you've got the money to do so. All right, so now we're going to level up Disabling Bolt. I've been neglecting the spell a bit. I haven't been casting it quite as much. It does have a bit of a cooldown, and generally I'm just focusing on spells that I've either not used very much or that I really want to prioritize leveling up right now. And Disabling Bolt is one of those, as it parry breaks and then they can't parry. So that's Disabling Bolt. So in Earth Magic, I want to level up StoneSkin. It's a buff spell that reduces melee damage, and it's got a bit of a cooldown, but mainly it just goes up slow. So we're going to level that up here in Earth Magic. All right, so in Greater Magic, I want to level up Heal Other. You might want to level up Agon as well, if that's not leveled up. Heal Other is going to be a cross heal. It's going to heal someone else. So that might be a little bit difficult to level up if you don't have, teammates around and whatnot. So we're going to level up Heal Other. And now we also have a similar spell to Heal Other, but it's in spell chanting, right? So it's called Sacrifice. It's going to use a little bit of your health, and it's going to give them, whoever you're aimed at, your teammates ideally, it's going to give them quite a bit of health, right? And so it can be a little bit hard to level up, potentially. It will level up over time as you do team fights and group duels and stuff like that, or just duels in general to level up with. We're going to level up Sacrifice. It's one of the only spells in spell chanting even worth scrolling or using your spell chanting essence on. So that's what we're going to level. All right, so the next spell that we want to level up, it's not actually a spell, it's a melee power, technically. So Rage is going to heal you, moderate amount of healing, and it's going to reduce elemental damage taken as well. So Rage has a long cooldown. You have to have your melee weapon out, and it uses books, manuals as well. So you're going to need the manual pages and the manual books, the blank manuals as well. So you're going to need both. And we're going to level up Rage, and we're also going to be leveling up Disabling Blow Greatswords. So whichever melee weapon you want to use, that's fine. Disabling Blow is a great one to level up. You could also level up Whirlwind is another good one. You're going to use Whirlwind a lot anyways. You could also level up Power Attack or maybe even Knockback, but I would prioritize Whirlwind, Disabling Blow, Power Attack. Those melee skills are ones that I would choose to level. And those are the melee skills. So since Rage has a long cooldown, I'm going to prioritize spells and abilities with long cooldowns to Scribe. And I would recommend doing the same. So spells like Rage, and coming up, we'll talk about Stormblast is another good one. Basically, anything that takes a long time, has a long cooldown, to level up, you want to just scribe those up. Makes it a lot easier, right? And you also want to prioritize how much Papyrus you have. You might want to decide which ones are more important to level up on your own a little bit. I'd prioritize the longer cooldown spells and or abilities like Rage. So that's kind of how I would go about it, and just use all your Papyrus and your scrolls and books anytime you get them. Alright, so now we're going to talk about Stormblast and air magic. Now Stormblast is a movement spell. We've already gone over this in the spells and bindings. But it's going to be one of your bunny hop spells, your utility spells that's going to allow you to climb, get over walls and do a lot of different things in the game. Now it has a long cooldown, and it can be slow to level, very slow. It was one of my slower leveling spells, getting it up to level 3. And now we're going to scribe it to level 4. And as you can see, it goes up pretty quick. So that whole blue bar, that's going to be the entirety from 1 to 5, that blue bar. So it might not look like it's going up much, but it makes a pretty big difference. And I'd recommend leveling up Stormblast with your scribing and your scrolls. Now, obviously, you could level up, whatever you feel like leveling. The damage spells do damage, which helps you kill mobs. And it's a little bit more fun to cast the spells to level those up, but you can scribe anything you want to, really. But I would definitely recommend Stormblast, as it's got a long cooldown, and it's a pretty important spell for bunny hops and for movement. So that's what we're going to level up here. Alright, so now we're actually going to level up a damage spell that is very spammable, right? Fireball. Everybody's favorite, classic magic spell, Fireball. All right, and we could level up Fire Shield. It's a long, a bit of a long cooldown, long cast, buff, self buff. We could level up a few other spells, Magma or Inferno or Haste, even a cross buff. But the reason I'm leveling up Fireball is because I'm trying to get it to 5. It's one of my most used spells, especially in PvP or duels. And to be honest, I didn't really see another good option at the moment, and I'm not really worried about Haste right now. Not doing a whole lot of group fights. You could do Magma if your Magma is a little bit low. You could do Inferno. You could do Fire Shield. We will probably level up Fire Shield with our remaining Essence, because some of these spells cost more or less Essence. So right now we're going to level up Fireball. And then we're also going to switch to Fire Shield. So we've used quite a bit of Fire Essence that we have, and we have a little bit left. Fire Shield cost a little bit less. So we're going to make a couple Fire Shield. A lot of people use Fire Magic. We might as well buff that Fire buff up as well. Just out of curiosity, I'm going to level up Haste just a little bit. It's not going up too much, but Haste is obviously a great cross buff. So we're going to use what little water essence we have to level up Ice Storm, a great utility spell that's in the water magic school. Makes a big smokescreen, essentially. Alright, so now we're going to move on to Necromancy. We're going to start off with a little bit of Vampiric touch. All right, so that's gonna take health from whoever you hit, and it's gonna give that health to you. Right, so we're gonna level that up a little bit. Mine's already pretty high. And then we're also going to level up eye rot. Now I'm going to use a ton of my essence on eye rot. My eye rot, it has a pretty long cooldown. It's one of your main blinds. It's one that you aim and you have to hit. It's fallen a little bit behind. So we're going to go ahead and level up eye rot. We're going to use quite a bit of necro essence on it. We had quite a bit. So we're just going to use it on eye rot, and basically, it's got a long cooldown, and it's a utility spell, Blind, that we're going to want to use quite a bit in PvP, and not as much in PvE. You don't really use it in PvE other than just to level it, as the mobs won't get affected by it. So we just want to scribe that up because it has fallen behind, and that's what we want to do. Now, we also will use our last remaining bit of Necromancy essence on Infernal Shield, and that's just because we had a little bit left over, and we figured might as well use the rest of our Necromancy essence. So, well, that's been it for the scribing guide. Please go down below, like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.